Hello everybody, this is the second session for the XENON1T project. So after I was done with the first one, Dustin set up a new tasking for me. So he didn't give me a movement. He set up a separate tasking and all I had to go off was the target reference ID -B. So I'm still completely blind to everything that's going on, even to the movements for what I'm going to do. So in this tasking, here's what he was looking for. Explore people related to the target as indicated in session 1, also to include the facility and mechanics. So the tasking is here. Further draw and describe the planners, the technicians, and facility and its components at the location. So basically the people, the components, and the facility. And again, all I have is this reference ID. I don't have any movements, verbal movements to go off of. So I'm totally blind to the targets and the tasking for this sub queue. All right, so okay, this was on the 7th of January. Moving along, and here I get a person here. And one of the subtasking here is to look for the planners and the technicians of this project. Okay, so I'm blind. But what he asks for in this tasking is to look at the people. So I see this person, I'm like, what's up with this person? So after I draw that, I remember that I had a dream. I had a dream about doing this next session the night before doing it. And I wrote some of it down here. I had a dream about this target, that Dustin revealed a person in this target, and that part of the feedback was for us to meet with him. Dustin mentioned that he was either a split personality or some mental abnormality. And it was interesting. So that was the dream. So in the dream, again, I had a dream the night before I started this subtasking. And in the dream, Dustin we're on our way to like a bar or a restaurant. And he's going to introduce me to this person who is involved with this target. And that person is going to explain the target to me. That was the dream. And I remember sitting at the table, and that was it. So again, that was the dream prior to doing this session, and that was what the tasking was in this too, for me to explore the people. So I'm right on the money here. Okay, well, what about this person? I ask. So a person that knows about this target. Person contact. Is it a person? I don't know what I'm looking for. The person contact question mark. I'm not sure what that was. This is the first time I'm going through this session too since I did it. This person can explain something about this. They have an understanding about it, about whatever the target is. But what understanding do I want to? What would they say about it? It's very complex. Science type of talk. Specialist level. Very direct and intense. And I remember that in the dream too. I remember that in the dream. That I'm remembering it now. That I was talking to this person and they were like, it was like talking to an autistic person. I think I go into that here. What does this person have to say, though, I wonder, about the target? Math and sizes and weights and measures. This person is talking about something and is doing it from the perspective and with the language of a scientist. That was the thing. It was like trying to talk to someone like that. Or someone like that talking to someone who doesn't know about science. It must be very frustrating. Chemical compounds and chemical elements. Well, what is he describing, though, I wonder? Airlift, how something lifts up, and the pressures and gravity factors, which is very interesting because here again is an image of the XENON1T inside of the inside of this unit here, where the gas is, where they're waiting for one of these WIMPs, one of these weakly interacting massive particles that they're hoping is dark matter, to hit one of these xenon molecules, and then I think it knocks off an atom or something like that, and then that floats up to the top, and it's recorded there as well. So it's they're measuring all of that stuff there. So that is true. How something lifts up and the pressures and gravity factors. That is true. But how does this relate to the target, though, I wonder? There's a scientific element to this that is interesting. But what is the element, though? Of science, I wonder? He's describing how something happens. He's describing how something happens. It's like if something happens and you don't know how it happened or why. He's explaining how and why. But about what, though, I wonder? A machine? And how it could work? Pretty much, yeah. He would have to have a machine or device that does something that is baffling. This is my aesthetic impact. I feel like I'm trying to solve a mathematical or science equation. That was how I felt. I felt that way. Like he's talking about these measures and this gravity and all these kinds of things, and how this machine does this baffling thing. And I have this aesthetic, emotional reaction like I'm trying to solve some science equation. But how would it be solved, though, I wonder? Like this target is set up to actually solve something. It is, yeah. Then the notion that someone does understand the answer, for me, then it is whether or not I would like to obtain the answer from that someone. If you get what I'm saying. The person who understands the answer, would they choose to divulge it? Would they choose to divulge it? I'm asking, because if they're not, then the session is going to go a different way. This is where I go from here. As per my dream, if that person in my dream is the answer person, then the answer is yes, because they agreed to a meeting. The challenge is that this person has some form of mental abnormality that makes the idea transfer more challenging, possibly autistic, I question. There's a specific way to communicate with such a person so that they feel heard and understood. What is this person seeing, is my question. What are they seeing? Like some type of gravity movement. Could be a floating object and or how something moves. Pressure tests, like capturing gravity field in a laboratory setting. Now, I'm going to pause there because I did have to do some research because somebody was mentioning that there is some talk out there of whether or not dark matter exists or not, and that it could be something different happening, and the dark matter hypothesis may be proven wrong. So I'm going to read this statement here, why dark matter might not exist. In a study published in the Astrophysical Journal, scientists report minuscule discrepancies in the orbital speed of different stars that reveal almost non-existent gravitational effects. This theory might put an end to prevailing theories on dark matter. The study inclines that the lack and insufficient understanding of gravity is behind the gravitational strength of both galaxy clusters and known galaxies, rather than clouds of dark matter. In short, mathematics holds the key to explaining galaxy behavior and not invisible matter, explains co-author Stacy McGew, the head of the astronomy department at that university. In short, mathematics holds the key to explaining galaxy behavior and not invisible matter. That's what she's hypothesizing. The research states that external field effects, or EFE, is a faint gravitational tide that is statistically observable in stars' orbital speed in over 150 galaxies. According to the team, the phenomenon cannot be explained by dark matter. However, it has been predicted by the modified Newtonian dynamics theory. So they were able to predict it. I guess what she's saying is through the mathematics. Nevertheless, more research is needed. So there is a challenge to the theory of this dark energy, in that they're looking at faint gravitational tide. A faint gravitational tide. And it's something to do with gravity. So here I am, back into it. Here. Like capturing a gravity field in a laboratory setting. And there's this guy, and here it is here. Overseeing this type of experiment. Manipulating gravity fields. This person has two personalities. Like as if there was another awareness inside his head. It's like having one brilliant person with another brilliant awareness occupying the same head. So, my question, what do I care about it? What do I need to know about it is what I question. What are these two trying to convey? That's my question. What are these two trying to convey? There is a sense of urgency from them, like a time constraint or a window of opportunity. But for what, though, I wonder? An opening of some sort. But what does that mean? An opening, I question, like a gate? Is this astronomical or astrological? Something lines up, moving parts like a rotation? Also, this person has concern for their own well-being. The challenge of being in that mental state that they're in. How did that come to be, though, I wonder? A chance encounter? Or was this person born this way? Meaning, how do they have like split personality, or like there's two, like their mind is occupied by two awarenesses? Were they born that way or what? And for what purpose do they serve, I wonder? Again, per the tasking, I am looking, and again I'm blind to this tasking. Describe the planners, technicians, and the facility. So the planners and the technicians. And for what is the purpose that they serve? It's not easy to decipher. I need to change my mindset to begin to understand. There is something mechanical coming from his mind. Pieces of things. But what do they mean, though, I wonder? Is it how to put something together? Or the complexity of it? It's like a riddle. This answer is within a riddle, and in order to obtain it, I must unravel it from a different state of mind. How would that look, though, I wonder? To obtain a different state of being, different vibration. This is like an alchemical thing, to resonate with this person, to see what they are seeing. Having visions of the past, or having visions of the past and future, I question. It then becomes a question of whether or not I want to do such a thing. Again, I come to this space here of this person that I am quote-unquote remote viewing. How deeply do I want to probe their mind? And so I'm testing my responsible levels that I feel ethically able to delve into. Then becomes a question of whether or not I want to do such a thing. So what is the payoff, though, I wonder? What's the benefit? This is I'll start again back. My concern is of being affected by someone that I don't feel like being affected by. It's my choice, and it is. That's how I felt at the time. That's how this brown wooden object here. What did this person touch? Again, I'm still on this person that, in my mind, has two personalities. What did this person touch? It had this impact on them, like an energy transfer or discharge, like getting a zap, like hitting a live wire, like this person that I'm talking about. It's something that has been charged up, like an energy transfer. So here I am in the laboratory. Now, the devices in the laboratory are all circular, but everything I was getting here was round. I'm sorry, square. But the elements are still good. There are feeds going into the container. This is a container. Feeds are going into a container. The yellow is a safety area here. There's a black plate that has a nullifying effect. Polaritron, I'm not even sure what that word means. Inside this container has vertical objects standing up inside of it that are under a form of gravitational control. This is some type of gravity field generator on a platform. And it had all these round things here as well. So when we look at it, this is what I'm looking at here when I'm looking at doing my research. For all the round things, everything that I had was square, and everything in this was tubular. So I wasn't able to interpret that correctly, but these things are here. This is the device right here. And there is an energy field output emanating from the mechanism here. There's a lot of energy going in and being generated. What is it for, though, I wonder? Some gravity form that relates to atmospheric fields? I question. What does it open up? I wonder. A space. This is interesting. This is really interesting. A space not affected by gravity. A gravitational polarity, like it flips. A space not affected by gravity. Let me go back here. The research states that external field effect is a faint gravitational tide that is statistically observable in stars' orbital speed in over 150 galaxies. Faint gravitational tide. A space not affected by gravity. A gravitational polarity that flips. I'm going to go further into what I was experiencing with this. Let me just keep going, because this is the first time I'm going through all of this. So what's inside there, though, I wonder? What's inside there, meaning the space not affected by gravity. What's inside there is what I was curious about. A space unaffected by Earth's gravitational pull, still affected by Polara, the sun. I don't know if the sun is called Polara, I don't know. Maybe it is, I don't know. That came in. This is how you move freely, meaning without effect of gravity. But is it stable? I question. Yes, it is. What if it closes, though? I wonder. You end up somewhere else. Are they experimenting with teleportation? I wonder. It feels like it. A field in which it is bent and flipped like a gravity knot, riding through the wave fields. This, and I wrote here, this is a very bland example. So this is like this idea here of a gravity knot, and this space right in here is the space that I'm trying to describe. And as I stated, this is a very bland, not a great example of it, but that was what I was trying to convey. So now I wonder, time travel as well? That's different. But different how, I wonder? It's not a gravity event. Time travel is not a gravity event. Then what is it, I wonder? It's a field event. Well, what does that mean, I question? What field? Fields of sound and light, not as stable. It's finding and holding, it's finding and holding the movements of sound and light to a designated type of speed. And here I write, I'm having difficulty finding the appropriate words that could or would represent this field activity. It's finding and holding the movements of sound and light to a designated type of speed. And again, not, it's the best way that I could describe it. Teleportation is easier to replicate. It's more stable. Time movement factors, sound, velocity, movement of light, and the spectrums of density. The locations of these are difficult to hold, as there are simultaneous moving fields interacting. The held field is more captured than let go. So this is a description of how teleportation could work in that field, and also time travel. Right here. Why is this important to this target, though, I wonder? And this person, because I was onto a person here. What do you become? Here's a question now. What do you become when access is found for teleportation and time movements? I question. Maybe what you become is the guy that I was describing. Split personality. I'm just contemplating that now. I'm going through this. What do you become when access is found for teleportation and time movements? Removed from the natural progression trajectory we are all on, I question. We're all on a progression trajectory, a natural progression. You'd be removed from that. What happens to the inner clock, though, I wonder, when you go outside of that? When it's removed from its place, that's a disruption. or could even be a rupture. How do you deal with that, though, I wonder? That answer requires a lot of information. Very delicate blends. Again, these are terrible words. And I'm acknowledging that these are not great words to describe this. It's a very difficult thing to describe. Very delicate blends to stabilize and contain a field. Okay. Well, what else is interesting here? The people. The minds of the people. They're real thinkers. Their ability to focus is interesting. Some of them seem to be European. Things in Italy. Why are they interested in doing this, though, I wonder? All these experiments and stuff. Is it just make it happen? Is it just make it happen to make it happen? Or is there a more direct and purposeful reason for this? Meaning, why are they doing all these experiments? Is it just to see if they could, or is there a bigger purpose? I have the sense that they want to go somewhere. So if that is the case, then it is directed. But why, though, I wonder? There is the sense that there are some that are involved that want to use this for strategic advantages. The notion of strategic advantage can take the wonderment element out, at least from the individual's perspective, because it's more utilitarian. Oh, that's what I say here. It becomes more utilitarian, or this utilitarian, not so personalized. This is, as per some of the individuals involved here, used to gain advantage over others, like a country, if you had the ability to do that. Meaning that if the purpose was utilitarian like that, and they were trying to create some kind of a teleportation system, and it was doing it for strategic purposes, then that takes the wonder exploratory element out. At least in my mind, it does. But where, though, I wonder? Where do they want to go? I question. The notion of home, though that can be interpreted as a form of home base, meaning one would go to the home base, a designated point. Within it, randomness could take hold, and some would. Oh, wait. Let me go back here. Meaning that what I'm getting from that is that if that experiment were to be tried, it would be tried in this confined space. The notion of home, though it can be interpreted as a form of home base, meaning one would go to the home base, a designated point. Within it, randomness could take hold, and someone could end up far from home. Meaning that if randomness would enter into this equation, that something could end up anywhere instead of its designated point. That was kind of a big deal. This is session 2. This was great. I really enjoyed this. I really enjoyed this. So gravity. This part here. This is my favorite part right here. Let me get to it. Oh, hang on. It's where a space that's not affected by gravity. Yeah, this is good, man. This was good stuff. So this is session 2. There's one more, and I will get that one out as soon as I can. So I hope you enjoyed this. I have really enjoyed going through it because I haven't gone through this whole session since I did it. and I've been doing some research and stuff like that. So I get to go back and look at it after getting some feedback and stuff like that. So I hope you enjoy this, and many more to come.